What music are you listening to? It's my favorite song. Okay. Hi, friends. It is Aunty B Positivity. I hope you are well, taking care of your person. I have a phenomenal returning guest, my friend Diamond or Dime or whatever she'll let you call her throughout this video. It's going to be very chaotic, as you can already tell. But it's me. I'm the chaos for sure. We just want to talk about nutrition. Mainly, I do, and I bullied her into doing this because I think she knows more than I do. I don't get a lot of comments anyway. We have big backs. We know we have big backs. Our clothes size know we have big backs. So there's no need to talk about big back people, talk about nutrition when the film is over. If you're like this, just keep going, baby. But if you struggle with food the way I struggle with food, then we're going to talk about it and hopefully give you some tips and advice and kind of share our narrative in a relationship with food and how we are healing it. I don't think it's fair to say that it is healed, for me at least. So I think the first question I have for us is, what is your relationship with food? I know that can be a really long question or short. And I'll go first. You can have a time to like think. Generally, mine is like, I love it, but it hates me. If I could describe my relationship with food, I've never, like, generally I didn't grow up like having a lot of restrictive eating. I didn't really grow up binging. I just like to eat, and I ate a lot. I have Caribbean family, and no matter how much they want to talk about my big back, they were giving me the portion sizes for like a 6'5" football player at 9, right? Like every plate had 9 spoons of rice, 16 spoons of oxtail on it, gravy on the side, with a cup of Kool-Aid, with 6 spoons of diabetes in there. So that's how I grew up eating, was just high volume food. But then there was always rhetoric of like, you're eating too much. Why are you so big? Why your back so large for? Why you so big at 9 years old? Like there was just a lot of narrative about size, but not really enough about like portion control or what a healthy like plate looked like. And as I grew up, I just like to eat. I figured that was normal like food sizes, right? I love a carb. I love bread. And I think it just became a very codependent relationship. I'm also a terribly picky eater. So that doesn't help my relationship with food, right? Is that you should have like a bright, colorful plate with like all these balanced things. Okay, well, I like white rice and white bread and meat. That's really about what I like. That's not really the whole food pyramid, right? You need more in there. So I think my relationship with food has just been very codependent. I've always enjoyed eating. The only time I really restricted eating was like post a really bad breakup, and I just didn't eat for like 2 months. So that was obviously a terrible time, but I didn't want anything to do with living. So that was like depressive hole kind of restrictive eating. But generally, I have just kind of over consumed food on a consistent basis. I've never really struggled with like restrictive eating, but I think because I love food so much and I don't understand healthy food or healthy portion sizing, it has made the relationship bad.
So for me, I kind of grew up differently. I did grow up like, I wouldn't say it was like overly restrictive. I didn't know it was restrictive because it was always like that. My dad did not eat beef. My dad didn't eat pork. I'm allergic to shellfish. My parents found out I was allergic to shellfish like when I was very, very young. My grandmother gave me shrimp when I was like 3, and it did not go good. So there were a lot of things that like I couldn't eat, and then there were things that it was really my dad. Like my dad didn't eat this, and then like because my parents had like when we lived close together, like they had like a very tight co-parenting relationship. I could be at anybody's house any day of the week, pretty much.
Right.
So my mom kind of went along with whatever my dad was doing at his house. So at my mom's house, then she's like, no beef, no pork. And I'm like, okay. But like I said, like, well, as an adult, I was like, oh, okay. But as a kid, it was just always like that. So it didn't really feel restrictive. I always took my lunch to school, but it was more so because of like my food allergies. And then I think I was like a kind of picky eater, but not really. One thing I will say is that my relationship with food did not become complicated until I became an adult, and I realized it was the first time that I actually had somebody connect like or try to connect like what I ate with my size. I've never been small. And so as a kid, I didn't know necessarily. Like my parents never made me feel bad about the fact that I was bigger than other kids. I mean, I came out the womb 8 pounds 9 ounces. Like I was bigger than all the other babies born that day.
Nobody
so
was
like
confused.
right. So like my parents never made me feel Like I was big and I was never like an inactive kid. I did, I was always in something.
Right.
Active. And so it didn't really dawn on me that I was bigger or that people thought that my size was related to food until I started being able to interact with people who didn't know me and didn't know my family and also understand what they were saying. So as an adult, it is when I became self-conscious about like my size, my weight. Like I don't really recall ever going to my mom and being like, I don't like being bigger than all the other kids. Yeah. She never let me know. My dad like never they never said that to me. It never. Also, both of my parents are 6 feet tall, so like it's also that. And so it never really dawned
down,
on
y'all. She's nowhere near 6 feet. Bless her heart.
No, I'm 5 foot, about 3.5, 4 on a really good day. I always got some heels on the trick, y'all. But yeah, I'm not that tall. So yeah, my relationship with food became complicated as an adult. When I moved out of mom's house and I went to college and I started grocery shopping for my own apartment. Me and my boyfriend were living together. He's not my husband, but we were living together for the first time. There was like freedom with being able to like buy what I wanted to buy and eat what I wanted to eat. And so for the first time, I was like, we're going to buy beef hot dogs. Because
I hate that's exciting.
No, I was so excited.
Okay.
And then I made my boyfriend some spaghetti with turkey and he was like, what is that? And I was like, oh,
yeah, I'm eating
this how we eat it. Like this is how we eat it. And it was always, I remember having like a stall out with my dad when I was like 13 or 14 over some zucchini. It was my dad always introduced like different vegetables and stuff. We would have a whole vegetable meal sometimes. And this was my first time trying zucchini and I did not like it. My dad was like, put some hot sauce on it. Like that's his answer, like everything, put some hot sauce on it. And I was like, I'm not fooling with no zucchini. But like that was the first time that like me and my dad was like, he made me sit at the dinner table for like 2 hours and he was like, just eat a little, like half of it. You know how to eat all of it, like just eat it. And I'm, child, please.
Yeah.
And so I grew up, like that. And then becoming an adult, having freedom with money and having, my parents don't know what's in the refrigerator. So I started experimenting with things. And then of course it became, I started to understand that people correlated my size with food and I had never made that connection before. So I started to hate food.
Yeah.
And I started trying fad diets and I started to think that you couldn't eat all the food groups at the same time and all that kind of stuff. And so over the years, it has gotten better. And I will definitely say that like my journey with food has healed from like that very short time period of not being a fan.
Yeah.
But it's forced me to kind of learn a lot about it, learn about myself and like what's good for my body nutrition wise and, seek help from like nutritionists and stuff. So I definitely think it's getting better, but it was great for a long time. And then I entered adulthood and it was like, and by the way, people think that your back big because you eat 3 burgers. And I'm like, I wasn't even allowed to eat burgers.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't stand beef.
I didn't have beef.
Damn.
So yeah.
That's fair. You talking has like the way the mind suppresses things is crazy. I have like vivid memories. Again, Caribbean family. I don't like rice and beans or whatever. I'm a picky eater. I would sit at the table for like 7 hours. My mom would be like, you're not getting up to eat this. Like, you're going to finish the food I gave you. My older sister would have like serving spoons of rice and like force feed me so I could get up. Like, that was my mind of like understanding you have to finish your plate. But it's also like, I don't need all this rice. You worry about my back being big now. You started back then with all this rice.
Yeah, that's something I learned too, like from my boyfriend and like from my friend. Well, my boyfriend at the time, he's going to be so mad when he watches this.
He's a wonderful husband. He's been husband for years.
But like, he's like at that time period, he was my boyfriend. But like I learned a lot about food, like when we moved in together, because I'm the type of person, I eat what I want and I throw the rest away. I was never made to eat all my food. I've never been a finish my plate kind of girl.
Yeah.
I don't finish anything. And so like literally, like I don't even finish a bottle of water. Like me and my husband argue about it like all day. To this day. But I've been like that my whole life. My parents were never like clean the plate. Yeah. They never made me do that. And so I don't have that kind of like food trauma really over anything. The zucchini thing sticks out to me so much because it is the only one I ever remember where my dad was like, you're gonna try it. Yeah. And to his credit, I had never refused vegetables before. Yeah. But I never had that one before. So yeah.
And I think everyone's relationship is different. And I think depending on like how you grew up, how many people are around you, like the finish your plate mantra is really hard growing up because now my family's like, I literally would visit my family last week and they're like, you should eat less. Why are you eating again? Baby, this is lunch. I haven't eaten in 7 hours. You wasn't talking like this when I was 9. So I'm dependent on eating 3 times a day now. And anyway, the next question is like, how do you feel like social media / society has affected your relationship with food? And I've kind of already started like getting into that, but I think that it's crazy. As a child, we have so many positive things to say usually about kids, like eat your vegetables, try this, like let's get adventurous. Every Saturday we used to go shopping into McDonald's, and it was cute and it was fine. Your pant size gets with 2 numbers in it. Let's get a salad. You don't need that today. And I think it was like painful for me to realize how like quickly that shift happened to like, you should eat, this is valuable. Now, like, you don't need anything. You should eat less. You should restrict. And as much knowledge as we have, I saw a video about this the other day. It's a full tangent now. Eating disorders, I think, are only spoken about for small bodies, and they're not spoken about for larger bodies. But mentally, it's just as big of a problem, right? It is just as unhealthy and all that stuff. So I think the amount of people that enforce, like, to me, I can say my experience, like restrict food, eat less, eat more salads. You just don't need that. You don't need this. I bet you eat all of this. I bet you're not active. I'm super fucking active. Maybe not this week, but generally. But I think your size negates a lot of issues that someone living or existing in a smaller body just doesn't have to deal with. If someone who's a size small, it's like, oh, I really have eaten all day. Oh my God, let's go get you something, anything. If I haven't eaten all day, that's good. Don't eat for the next few weeks, right? Social media, as much as like we see plus size things like propelled out, I will say for me in this like Ozempic era that we're in, I feel very 2000. I feel very low rise, size 0 coming back. So I think social media also says like being plus size is beautiful if you're active and doing all this stuff and doing all this stuff. So like being a larger body is only okay if you justify it by doing things that would potentially help you being in a smaller body. Not that everyone shouldn't be active or eat well or whatever, but I think social media still like promotes smaller bodies, right? They promote people that live in a certain size. So I think that social media / my family / doctors, real talk, have not made my relationship with food any better.
So I think that I agree. Like, social media does not make the relationship with food. I think for anybody, like a big body, a small body, like you just looking for advice, you don't have no issues with your body. Like, I think social media is a very dangerous place for any type of slippery slope, especially when it comes to food. For me, I think I had to kind of teach myself like what to take in and what not to take in. And that has been a very helpful skill to kind of develop, because I think what ends up happening is that we forget that social media is a very subjective place. The people are not talking about your body. They're talking about theirs. Yeah. And so if you start to, if you're watching someone's video and they're like, I've seen videos where they're like, sugar-free things are bad for you. You should not try to avoid sugar. I am genetically predisposed to type 2 diabetes. Everyone in my father's family has it except me. You are not going to convince me to put raw cane sugar in my food because it helped you lose weight. You're just not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. Yeah. And I think that sometimes it's hard, especially when if you have a bad relationship with food, or if you're struggling with something specific, if you're struggling with your weight, or if you're struggling with this or that, like, it doesn't matter. You'll see these things and you're like, well, shoot, all the people who thought that, kind of trying to, and I don't mean like avoid sugar, like you don't have any. I just mean that when I get my iced coffee, I get sugar-free vanilla and not regular. Yeah. Like, and like, again, like every time I go to the doctor and I get my A1C checked and she come back and she like, it's a 4.9. I'm like, bet. Yeah. All the raw cane sugar girlies on Instagram, they not talking to me. Yeah. They're not talking to me. Yeah. So I think that we have to like take care and realize that there are people who will say, oh, and I also have to understand, like, people are posting things in a snapshot of time that you cannot correlate with. You don't know if they're doing that in real time. You don't know if that video has been sitting in their archive since last year. Yep. You never know, like, when this was or was not working. You may see people saying, oh, keto worked for me. It worked for me too for about a month. Yeah. But if I record a video that's 3 minutes long and I post it today, my audience never knows that it only worked for a month. You never know that. And so you, as a consumer of that content, won't understand that. And you will start to compare yourself like, oh, Susie lost 60 pounds in a month. No, she didn't. She definitely didn't. And I'm not saying Susie lied because Susie didn't say that.
Yeah.
But this is how we, take in this information and this content, and we may like force it on ourselves. So I think the two biggest things that I've learned like from social media is that one, like it's dangerous, and two, you just have to remember that it's subjective.
Yeah.
The person on the other side of the screen is not talking about you, they're talking about them.
Facts. That's such a great way to phrase it, actually. I just tell myself like comparison is a thief of joy, but I think as humans we naturally compare. Like it's just so hard to not do it. So I think thinking of it in a way like I'm comparing, but I'm comparing myself to something that's subjective is probably an easier thing to apply.
Yeah.
Because not comparing, quite frankly, I just can't do it. But I'm working on it. My next question kind of goes into like, relationship with food, and you hinted at it. Like, have you ever tried like any fad diets? I haven't really, except for like depression, starvation, and like calorie counting. But if you want to talk about that,
girl, experience. I have tried so many fad diets, and honest, spoiler alert, I'm not gonna tell you to try any of them because they didn't work.
Fad.
And the thing is that I am someone who I have experienced extreme weight loss, but I did not when I was trying fad diets. I've tried keto. I've tried Weight Watchers. I have tried pretty much the equivalent of like liquid diets.
Okay.
I've tried all kinds of things. I mean, I've tried I would consider like cleanse diets, or they're like water fasts for 24 hours. I would consider those fad diets because they're all intended to give you results very, very quick. So when I experienced like my best weight loss and the weight loss that I'm like currently maintaining, it was not with fad diets, but I have tried them. And honestly, I started trying them before like Instagram, and I think really at the time it was really like MySpace and then the ads on TV.
Also the TV commercials.
It was TV commercials, girl. When it was like, if you drink these shakes, like and it was that was when I started like really experiencing with fad diets again. It was right as I was coming into adulthood, and right as people started to like notice, or let me know that they noticed.
That's crazy. Okay, I think you kind of hinted. You have a much like different narrative, obviously, than I do when it comes to like food and things like that. But could you share how you feel like, A, I think it's helpful for people to hear about like your weight loss journey if you're comfortable sharing that. And B, how do you feel like you're actively like working to heal your relationship with food?
Okay, so my weight loss journey, for real. And I say for real, because I tried to do it multiple times. Right. I would say between 2016 and 2020, I tried multiple times to do it. And it just didn't really work. In 2020, during the panoramic, August of 2020, I had just been diagnosed with a major depressive disorder. And I was just really struggling like as a just with being alive. And so with struggling with being alive, like, and then if you just start like going down the list, like my weight was on there. Like it's like, you're in therapy and they're like, well, what do you dislike about life? Well, girl, first of all, but when I finally got to the fact that my back was big, she asked me like, well, like, what are you doing about it? And I was like, crying.
What are you doing about it? Yeah.
Crying. So I started looking, what I realized was that like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do about it. I was like, I don't eat bad. I don't eat a lot. I've been in the bed for 6 days. I ain't had to eat. So like, please don't start with me. But I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't understand. I thought that I was, again, like I said, I've known, like I've been big my whole life. There's never been a time where I was a small person. And so I didn't really have, I couldn't be like, well, at this point in time, that's when I gained all the weight. Or at this point, it was never that. I wear a size 16 right now. I wore a size 16 in 2016. I wore a size 16, but in 2020, I was like a size 22. The twos were chewing. I was like a size 22, but I couldn't put my finger on like when did that happen. It happened like very gradually. It wasn't like a big like something big happened and then it wasn't like that. And so I started like, basically I was just online. I was in the bed, I was online, I was scrolling. And I was like, maybe if I asked them like a nutritionist or something. And so I found one at a place in Atlanta. And so I went there to meet with the nutritionist. And they were like, well, like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm big. And they're like, okay, yeah, but like, what's the well? So they were like, what's the problem? And I was like,
yeah, look at me.
Yeah, and they're like, well, do you, they're like, do you eat a lot? Like, you like food? Like, you have a bad relationship with food? And I was like, I don't know why. Yeah. I just am, always have been. And so I got like some blood tests done. I got a metabolic test done. I learned at that visit, I was freaking 25 years old, and they were like, did you know that your metabolism is non-existent? Oh. Didn't know it.
Sound like a problem.
So it was like whether you're eating or you're not, your body doesn't get, it ain't doing nothing with whatever you got.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh. And so they were like, did you know you're vitamin D deficient? How am I supposed to know that?
Yeah.
No. There are so many things where it's like, okay, like you're over 200 pounds, you must eat 6 burgers a day. No, what about things like I don't know and you can't know as a person who's judging me.
Yeah.
So that was my first step to weight loss. Start taking vitamin D pills and start taking a daily multivitamin for my vitamin D and A, B, C, F, G deficiencies that I had. And that was like truly like the first 10 pounds. And then like after going through all of that, they were like, now you can connect with the nutritionist.
Yeah.
And she's still my nutritionist to this day. Love her so much. But she taught me about balancing. Because again, I'm a girl who's like fresh off the fad diets.
Yeah.
I'm like, either we eat protein or carbs, not both. And she's like, no.
Yes.
So she taught me about like balance. They had booklets. She introduced me to an app that I use. I still use it. It's called Eat This Much. And it'll tell you.
We'll put a link in the bottom.
Yeah. So I use that app. But it just taught me how to like make meals that I enjoyed. And like, I never thought that I had an issue with portions, but I will say I didn't know how much of what to eat. I was just kind of winging it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it turns out like I wasn't overeating, but I wasn't balancing correctly. Mm. Like my carbs, my protein were equal.
And like she hasn't said this, like she's been cooking her whole life.
Yeah.
Like, she stays cooking. She's not eating outside every day. No. The McDonald's drive-thru is not hearing her name every day. So like you can also like just be in a larger body by also eating like home cooked meals.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I didn't know like how much of what I made like to eat and things like that. So that really helped me. I did a very short time on an appetite suppressant. I think you can take it for like 90 days. I did that whole time. Mm-hmm. In 2020, I took an appetite suppressant and I found it helpful because it made me not excited to eat. Mm. And I never realized that I would be kind of happy at mealtime.
Food makes you happy.
Until I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so like that's like something that I never considered myself to be somebody. Like I'm not an overeater, but it was a little joy at mealtime. There was a little joy at mealtime that I never knew was there until it was gone. Yeah. Until it became time for dinner and I was like, I don't really care for that.
I feel like you're still there.
Yeah. Well, so I am. But again, like it's like once you tap into that, you're like, oh, okay. There was also a lot of kind of reincorporating working out. So like at the time I was in law school, but law school had just gone virtual because of the pandemic. Yeah. So I got a lot of time back. I had not been active like those for that year and a half of law school. If I wasn't
have the ability.
Yeah, like if I wasn't at the school, I was at the house trying to get the school work together.
Right.
There was I wasn't really going to the gym. I wasn't really outside. And up until that point, I had played sports. Mm-hmm. So I never had to think about incorporating exercise into my life because I had practice. And when on practice days, I had practice. And on non-practice days, I didn't. It was never really a thought that I had to keep on being active post playing sports. So that was something that was brought back to my attention. And they were like, how much are you exercising?
0%.
When I flipped the page in the law book, that's 1.
Right. Oh.
Arm. That's 1. And this is 2.
Yeah, you got a lot.
Yeah. So I had to also like it may sound like so trivial. It's like, girl, you forgot to exercise. Yeah.
I don't know if it was forgot, but you can.
Well, forgot, didn't have time, wasn't trying to make time, if I'm being honest. And I don't know if I could have. I didn't try. I did not try. I don't know if I could have. Yeah. But then I did. I started walking, and that has been, I have stayed keyed in with my exercise. I feel like that's what I've been most consistent with, is like staying keyed in with my exercise routine, doing things that are better for me and like good for me to move my body, no matter what it is. I recently joined a hip hop dance class. We've laughed about that.
So exciting.
Yeah, I joined a hip hop dance class. These ain't the same knees I had, but we be in there.
None of this.
We play pickleball. You introduced me to pickleball. My husband and I like walk together. This is my gym partner. And we keep it locked in. So that's also been a really big thing. And over a year, I lost about 70 pounds. I've maintained about 55 of it solid. I kind of teeter-totter between like 55 and 60 pounds of actual maintenance. I gained at least a solid 10 back.
Insanity. And we are clapping and celebrating not because like the number on the scale is like your whole life and your whole identity, but she lost it in a healthy, sustainable way. And it was something that she wanted to do. I think a lot of people lose weight in ways that are unhealthy, that are like mental health, like poor associated with. And I try really hard to not like hyper focus on anybody's weight, but we do want to positively reinforce good stuff that we want, and that's good. And if your goal is to lose weight in a healthy way, like absolutely do that and celebrate it. But I'm a person who like really struggles with losing weight, but I have a lot of other positive statistics that I can look at. So it's not the end all be all, but we can celebrate good stuff too. Like,
there are a lot of things that happen that like with just better habits and like better living that are not weight related. I have eczema. You can never really say you do not have eczema.
Girl, I know.
I have not had an eczema flare in 3 years.
That's amazing.
So it's not that like, this is truly a non-scale win. Like I have like photos. I look at them all the time. Like of what my skin looked like very early, like January 2020. What it looked like at the end of 2020, it has remained looking like that. Wow. But it's like no one tells you that. And that was so beautiful for me because I had gone to the doctor all my life about my eczema. I mean, it's genetic. My dad has it. I forever got a prescription for triamcinolone acetonide. That's the eczema cream. I forever got some. But I went to a doctor when I first went to Atlanta. I was like for PCP, and he told me that my eczema was weight related. And do not get me wrong, that is a possibility. But what I was yes, it is absolutely a possibility that like skin conditions can be weight related. But he would not even let me tell him my medical history with eczema.
Doctors make me so tired.
Like he would not even let me tell him. And so when I started to like eat, there were things that were aggravating my eczema that I didn't know about. He didn't tell me about them. He was just like, "You're fat." And
lose 100 pounds.
Yeah, and then he didn't say, "Oh, by the way, like this type of thing, like high salt foods maybe contribute to your eczema. Did you know that seasonings can have calories?" Things like that. Like there's just so many ways. Like I'm not somebody who was like, "I'm fat for no reason." Yeah. Not like that, but I had to teach myself what was aggravating my eczema, and there is somebody who makes a whole lot of money to tell me. So yeah.
We're not about to tangent about it for real, but like if you are watching this or like listening, you feel really stressed and your doctor is telling you a bunch of shit and you're going there saying, "I have a lump in my right breast," and your doctor's telling you to lose 100 pounds, fuck that doctor and leave. Like immediately.
Not too big in my life.
And I will say this till like the end of time. I have a wonderful doctor. I love her to death. I searched for her for like 9 months. It is not one of my other friends' doctors because she's dope. Find someone that doesn't shame you and wants you to like exist in your body in a healthy way. And I know that it's stressful and everyone doesn't have like the same insurance or the same means, but like you don't deserve to go to someone for like medical care that abuses you and makes you feel worse about yourself. Yeah, I know I need to lose weight. That would probably be best.
But it's also like, help me. Tell me. It's like, and don't assume, like I said, the first time that the health clinic told me like your metabolism is non-existent. You know how many doctors told me that I was fat before somebody told me that my metabolism was that bad?
And that's like really important.
Why am I here? Like, it's not that people want to go to the doctor and not be told that they're overweight. People, like, obviously I looked in the mirror before I came here, and I am not someone who doesn't want to hear it. That's fine. But again, I should not have had to leave that many doctors' offices knowing that I just have a high BMI. Right. And no one ever thought to test the dang on metabolism. Right. Like, no one told me that I was vitamin D deficient, and I don't think I got that way overnight. Right. You know, and so it was like there are so many things that people are frustrated about when it comes to doctors. And if you're somebody who is in the medical field, please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
People want help. That's why they are there. No one comes to the doctor I won't say no one, but most people do not come to the doctor not wanting to hear anything. But if you are, before you tell your patient that they are overweight, also have a solution. Right. You are
and
overweight.
The solution can't be don't eat.
Yeah, like you are overweight. I think you need to try this diet that we've put together for you in our office. You are overweight. I think you need to go get some blood tests done. You are overweight. I think that you may need to try this. Everything is not, Five Guys is open, but they not staying open because of us.
That's what look at who is going through the drive-through for real. Because some people's metabolism is hyper. Some people are, anyway. Yeah, definitely a tangent I could talk about for a long time. And I have countless friends that have a phobia of going to the doctor purely because of this type of rhetoric. And they could have like very serious illnesses that are just not being dealt with or treated. A, because doctors aren't looking for them because they just blame your weight sometimes. Or B, because they're too afraid to go at all. Also, I haven't done this yet, but you can also go to a doctor and refuse to be weighed. Like, you don't have to do that. That is a choice that they usually tell you to do. But you can be like, no, I don't want to weigh myself today. And keep it pushing. They can't make you. And they will just give you a session without that statistic because they don't need it, right? So yeah, just look for a good primary care doctor. There are a lot of things that go on with the human body that you should know and understand that should not have to do with your weight. So, tangent over. You spoke about I kind of spoke about my doctor. I love her. She's lovely. Get a PCP. Thoughts on a nutritionist, how someone could find a nutritionist? What do you feel like they taught you besides like the balance, right? Do you track and show it to them? Like what does a nutritionist do as someone who's never been to one?
So a nutritionist is someone who, one, like most of the time they would want you to have a full blood panel so that they could see. So like my nutritionist knows that I am vitamin D deficient. I'm also B12 deficient. And so she's always like encouraging me to eat things that I didn't know, like help your vitamin D or your B12. So that's always incorporated in mine. She's also my pal. Also, like, don't eat this much. You can add pal so that people can see like what you're eating and stuff like that. So like she's my pal on Eat This Much, and she can send me I don't know how often she checks it necessarily, but like anytime that I like have my virtual appointments with her, like she can look at my Eat This Much and see if I put anything in. I don't always put like every meal in. I more so use it to plan. So when you go on there, you can put together like your whole entire meal and your whole day, and it'll tell you like how many calories, or you could just put like in there, you can go like, I want to eat chicken, pasta, and rice and broccoli, but my goal is to stay here macro wise. For my macros, Natalie is my nutritionist. She put them in for me as my pal. She put them into my Eat This Much, and then I can go in and put like what all I want to eat that day or what ideas I have, and it'll tell me literally how much you can have. 5-ounce chicken, whatever. Prepare it like this. They also have like presets in the app, but before I had Eat This Much, that is the type of stuff that she would do for me. So like I said, it's not just like, oh, you need to eat healthy. A nutritionist can help you understand like your body and like if you have any like overages or deficiencies that you need. For me, I'm bad about protein. I hate protein. I don't really like meat like that. Go back to the first 3 minutes of this video so you can figure out why.
Fair enough.
Like I don't really fool meat like that. So it's a lot of things that like I could eat like to help me out more that I was just refusing to eat. Like if there's meat on my plate, that's the last thing I'm eating. Natalie be like, eat the chicken. And I won't eat the chicken. But Natalie has also like introduced me to different like protein drinks and stuff like that. Some of them I don't care for because I will tell Natalie I ain't really on the sugar like that. I can't really be touching like that. So I actually drink protein 2.0 because of her. Like she told me about it, and that works out great because she's like,
that's protein water. BTS.
Yeah, it's protein water as opposed to like an actual protein shakes. They have very different macros and stuff like that. Protein shakes, a lot of them have like enough macros to be an actual meal replacement. But if your nutritionist is not telling you to replace your meals with liquid, then you may not need to be doing that. Also, you should not drink them like they're just good for extra protein because they also have, some of them have a lot of calories. Like a Premier protein shake has about 170 calories, whereas protein 2.0 has the same 15 grams of protein, but only has 70 calories and I think 2 net carbs. So that was very different for me. And so like when I was like she was saying to me like eat more protein. If I would have just went to the store and be like, okay, I'm gonna buy these, and I'm gonna eat protein bars and stuff like that. You gotta be careful with those kinds of things. But when I said to her, I can't do a lot of sugar, she was like, okay, here's a healthy medium. So I mean, again, I feel like you could do the research yourself, but as someone whose life is very consumed by so many tasks and responsibilities, it's easy to either ignore it or not. It's helpful for somebody to just tell you the answer.
Yeah.
to just tell you the answer to the quiz. Like, just be like, this is what you need to do. So yeah, like I said, nutritionists will help you understand like your body and what your body needs for the fuel and the results that you need. Again, the people who are on, Instagram and whatever, like what you're watching. And even if you look up, like, what do I eat for a high protein diet? Somebody wrote that, and they wrote that about themselves, more than likely. They may have done some research. If they did, scroll to the bottom and see what the sources are. But most of the time, like the things that you can find online, like you don't know necessarily like where they got that information. So I feel like it's great to find somebody who will actually like look at your results. And today in 2024, you can definitely find somebody online. I see Nat online now. I started seeing her in person in 2020, in 2020, but like I see her online now. That's very helpful. But yeah, you can find nutritionists online. The place that I met Natalie was Innovative Health and Wellness in Buckhead. They have 2 locations. I've also been to another clinic called Bubalo Medical for something else, but it's called Bubalo Medical. Okay. It used to be in Sandy Springs. It's in Woodstock now, so I don't visit them anymore, but I went to them for something else, and I know they had an in-house nutritionist. So I would just look like nutritionists in my area, and then if you want to see them virtually, just see if they have virtual options. For you to like, upload your information and stuff like that for them to work with you. But I found mine to be very helpful.
Takeaways that I got. As many of you, someone who hasn't had a nutritionist, is catered to you and like individual. And I think I've been seeing people eat stuff online and I'm like, I can't eat that. That's going to make my back big. That's like, I like need to stay away from sugar because both sides of my family have diabetes, but also I have hypertension now. Both my parents have like astronomically dangerously high blood pressures. So I know that it will only continue to go up. Just genetics alone. A lot of my things can't have sodium. A lot of like the Just Bare like chicken breasts are very high in protein. Okay, why you have 720 mgs of sodium in one chicken tender? I can't eat that. I'm gonna have a heart attack. So I think everybody just needs to stay in their own lane of nutrition, figure out what that is. And if you can't afford nutrition, there's nobody saying that like professionals are hard and they're expensive, therapists are expensive, blah, blah, blah. Do the research that you can, but just know that everything you see online is not built for you and not meant for like your body and your health. Most people can get a free panel of blood work a year and a doctor's visit, right? If you have insurance. So I think do that, start from there. If you get a visit with a nutritionist, it is probably more helpful than have never speaking to one your entire life. So I think
because a lot of it is free too. Like I said, me and Nat, we use she interested me to eat this much, but like it doesn't cost me to use Eat This Much. It didn't cost me to download it and to use it, like just for somebody to tell me like to do that. And as much as I Google, because Lord knows I Googled, that never came up. Like that app never came up.
Yeah, and it's not helpful. I'm like, I use MyFitnessPal, like whatever helps you, and Eat This Much is great because it also will tell you like this is what you eat today.
Like if you don't know, if you don't know what you want to eat, you can just like keep your macros in there and it'll tell you this is a meal that'll meet it.
And you'll be like, I don't want tuna salad today. Okay, well here's a chicken salad sandwich. Here's a beef sandwich. And it's like, oh, you got options. So I think a lot of us also get like recipe paralysis. I have 9,000 recipes saved on Instagram. I'm too burnt out to go through those. Sometimes you just want something that gives you a grocery list and what the macros are like at one time. Don't make this stuff hard. Being alive is hard. Having a big little medium back is hard because the other T is like society gonna say something about your body, whatever you look like. It's gonna say something about your body, whatever it looks like. The doctor will have something to say, whatever you look like. So, figure out what works for you, makes you feel good, and hopefully live a long time. And as I feel like every episode ends with, we can kind of talk about how we feel like this is interacting with mental health, because I feel like that's like a huge deal, right? Of like being positive. And it doesn't always have to be good feelings, right? But how do we reflect on our relationship with food? How do you kind of reflect on like having sustained like a considerable amount of weight loss, but also like, do you still struggle, right? With like body image, or like, do you want to go eat 10 Big Macs one night after you like go have a rager or something, or after a bar crawl? How do you work on balancing that with like how you think about food? I will go because I know you've been talking for a while, and you can go. I struggle with the way I think about food basically every meal now. And I think the older I get, and kind of like I'm not at a size where I'm physically comfortable right now, I would say. So I think every time I eat, I'm like, oh, is this too much? How many calories is this? What am I gonna like need to do to like burn this off? I'm not at a point where I feel like I need to earn my food, right? I don't struggle mental health wise that way, but I'm very hyper aware of what I eat. I started tracking like legitimately now. Before I was like tracking with like the back of containers. I got like a food scale, and I was very resistant to that for a long time because I thought I was going to create like disordered eating, but it has actually been really helpful because like sometimes I can get me 10 more grams. I just wasn't weighing it right. And sometimes I need to take a chicken nugget off, you know? Sometimes it just like teaches you a good balance. So I think about food a lot, and I want to get comfortable to a place where I don't have to be as conscious of what I'm eating, right? I think once you track for a while, you get an idea of what you're doing, or you like make in bulk the same meal. So you're not inputting the same thing into whatever counter you use. But I struggle with just like number and data in terms of like, oh, well, I'm so hungry and it's 10 p.m. Well, girl, eat some watermelon or something, right? Like you don't have to be so stringent with your numbers, but I'm bad at applying that advice to myself. So I think mental health wise, my relationship with food is better. My understanding of what I should eat in terms of like balance and sugar and macros and sodium is way, way, way better than when I was like, let's say in college, right? Like 5 or 6 years ago. But I still struggle with like quantity, ensuring I even get my own. I love meat. I love carbs more, but I love meat. But I still struggle eating enough protein. I struggle eating like vegetables over carbs. My whole life was meat and rice. That's what my body is built for. Rice is not the best thing for me. Also, white rice has a lot of sugar in it that I'm learning. So I'm trying to steer away from that. So I think that it's every day is a different day. Today I feel good about what I am eating. Yesterday I felt terrible about it. So just reminding myself that like my body deserves food. I need to eat and fuel my energy for my workouts and life and work. But figuring out that like there is better fuel I can put in, and every day is not a zero sum game. I think sometimes we have like bad eating days. You binge for 10 days after that. Yeah, yesterday was just L. Today could be better. We can just like end today, start again tomorrow. I'm not a person who's probably ever gonna like completely cut out alcohol. A lot of like fad diets do that. A lot of like fitness people do that. Cool. I have been through phase where I didn't drink for like 9 months at a time, right? Just because that's what life needed from me at that season. It had nothing to do with weight loss. But I'm much better now at learning that moderation is key to sustainability as opposed to like cold turkey, because I love a cold turkey anything. I can stop anything for a week. I stop anything for a month. You ask me, can I do it in 10 years? Probably not. Probably not, because after I've cold turkeyed, I'm back to binging or over consuming. So I think mental health wise, it is a constant battle with food, but I'm trying to get uncomfortable right before I can get comfortable, because tracking and like learning all these things is still very new to me, but getting better day by day.
I think for me, like mental health is just kind of, it's almost like to your point, like about like taking even the eating like day by day, like mental health for me, like with my weight and things like that are day by day. I went through a really rough time. Like I said, I was like, oh my God. When I really started to experience like fat shaming and my mom always took me to the doctor, and she wasn't gonna let nobody bully me like at the doctor's office. Well, I mean, both my parents like would take me, but like they weren't gonna let anybody bully me at the doctor. Like nobody gonna call me fat. Yeah. Like when I was grown, I started going to the doctor by myself. It got scary up in there. Like there were so many things, and I think that something that I have learned like on this journey is that a lot of my like mental health struggles, it wasn't me. I was very upset about how people treated me. When I first started to lose weight, I didn't tell anybody. Y'all, when people started telling me like, oh, you look good.
I look bad before.
I look bad?
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to like really understand that, like, and to have to like say to people like, please don't comment on my weight, or like when someone says like, so like it literally happened to me yesterday I was in court and I was wearing some heels, and something that people don't tell you is that when you have a large amount of weight loss, your shoes don't fit anymore. Your feet can be a different size. So I was wearing some heels that I had like pre-weight loss, and they were it was funny because like I was like walking and they started to like flop off my heels, and I was like, oh my God. And I got so irritated that it was happening. And so the opposing counsel was like, are you okay? And I was like, girl, I was like, my heels don't fit. Nobody ever tells you that. Like when you lose weight. And she was like, oh, like, how are you doing it? And that question like shook me up. And like, she was very, like, she wasn't like rude about anything. And like me and her have talked, like, obviously we're opposing counsels. And so I was like, I'm not doing it. Well, okay. Yeah. So I think that for me, like interacting with others, when it's just me and the work that I'm doing, I think that, it's a normal like up and down of mine, where I'm like, I can do better. Another thing is that once you learn that you can do it, you kind of get that like Michael Jackson Thriller effect, where, when Michael Jackson realized that he could make something as amazing as Thriller, he never was like really happy with anything else that he made because it just wasn't Thriller. And that kind of happens once you lock in and like once you realize that like you can move the number and you can move the size, you kind of are like 10 pounds a week or nothing. But then
that's not a good mindset.
When you get to maintenance and people like Natalie are telling you not to weigh yourself every week, you start to be like, well, I don't know. How do I know? You know, how do I know? Or like when I stopped losing weight dramatically and I kind of like hit that plateau, it then became people who saw me every week were no longer commenting. It was only people who hadn't saw me in a long time. That was another level of adjustment. But the people around you make a huge impact like on your mental health. And it was all of the way for me.
Do you feel like you felt good when people commented?
No, it all felt bad.
Okay.
And that's another thing. I thought that if I lost weight and then people told me that I looked smaller, I was going to like it. I didn't like it.
And this is the biggest mindfuck of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. You think that like when you lose weight and then people tell you look good, you're going to like it. You're not. You're then going to be like, what the hell did they think about me like before?
Heavy.
Were y'all all like secretly like fat shaming me in your head? Like, this is so scary. Or like, me and one of my best friends went shopping together for Black Friday last year, and she realized that we wore the same pant size. And for me, I was like, ha, because I think she's freaking beautiful. I think she's a stallion. Like, she really did. Girl.
Yeah.
But she wasn't mean. She wasn't like mad. She wasn't sad. She was shocked. Yeah. She should have been. We look completely different. But it was another one of those moments where I was like, oh girl, it was not he for her. Oh, it was not a he experience. So then you're like, wait.
You thought I was just so big that we could never wear the same size. Yeah.
And so it's like, I should be happy, right? Like, this should be great. Like, I pick up size pants. Yeah. And the thing was, I knew exactly what size I wore. Girl, here we go. You know, so we got a 1. Now, we've talked about like when your pant size number is 2 digits, but listen, when it started with a 1,
it's exciting.
And it used to start with a 2,
it's exciting.
Relax yourself. You know what I mean? And so it's like things like that you would think, oh, this is great. It feels terrible. Yeah. People commenting on your body feels terrible, good, bad, ugly. You think so badly you want somebody to tell you that you look skinny. Girl, you look good. Yes, like my husband's grandmother, like she is so sweet. But she told me, she was like, Diamond, your face is too skinny. And
because y'all can't never be happy. That generation of person can't never be happy.
She literally was like, Diamond, your face is too skinny. And like she like did me like this, and she was so sweet about it. And she was like, you're not my baby. And I was like,
first of all, I'm grown, and now I'm sad.
But like she's always known me as very fat face Diamond. And so that, like I said, that's something that you're like, oh, this, you think that's gonna make you feel good. People commenting on your body feels bad all the time.
That's hard.
Again, y'all, this internet stuff is subjective.
Okay.
It felt bad to me. Yeah. It felt bad to me for anybody to say anything about my weight. When people, my mom had weight loss surgery, and she was like very open about her experience with it. I started to lose weight after her, and people thought that I also had it. That's another thing. Like my family and stuff, like, oh, you and your mom did.
I ain't had no surgery, honey. That's all me. Ain't no tea, no shade to surgery though. If you need that, do that.
No. Again, like no tea, no shade. But it was just like, where did y'all come?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. And like I said, and it's like, I don't know. Like, should I be happy that I look like I had surgery, or no? Again, for me, people commenting on my body was never enjoyable, no matter what they said.
I only had I lost 45 pounds after, again, terrible breakup. I literally didn't eat for 2 months. So no advice from here besides eat your food, please. And don't let no boy make you look dusty and hungry.
Oh, no.
Go ahead. When people commented on my weight, it was rough because I was just reminded why I starved myself. Like, it was like I lost weight in a really sad, traumatic way. So then to hear from you who lost intentionally and in a healthy way, it's like, damn, we can't never be happy about the comments.
No, I think you can. I think you can. I think that people think you want to hear that though. Okay. I think everyone thinks that you want them to know that they see that you are slimming. Everybody doesn't want to know.
Yeah, I'm just doing my best.
Yeah, everybody doesn't want to know. And even me, if you would have asked me when I was 330, if I wanted someone to notice that I was now 270, yes. Yeah. I want them to notice. Yeah. But I don't think that at 270 I was happy that they noticed. I was not happy that they noticed. Right. You like saying I thought that it wasn't their fault. No one ever. I would not say that anybody ever said anything that was like categorically mean to me.
Okay, I mean that's ideal.
Yeah, but I think that you want people to comment on your body. You just want them to say something different. Turns out for me, don't talk to me about it. It didn't make me feel good at all. Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. You know, whether my homegirls, my friends, my husband, anybody be like, "Girl, you look smart today." What I looked like yesterday, then.
Yeah. Also, if someone's saying you look small today, just you look good. You look nice.
You look so cute.
Just keep it.
So it also changed the way that I interact with people too. I was like, because do I be saying stuff about people's bodies? Like whenever I see someone, like I'd be very specific. Like when I walked in today, I was like, "Girl, I like your hair, the way it's braided, like that." To be very, very specific with the compliment I like your shirt that you got on in the way that it do like this and around your neck. Right. I like that. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, oh, you look so little today, or oh, you know, you if she wearing the dress, girl, you wearing the dress. Right. Whatever body you got into, you wearing the dress. Right. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So yeah.
Big facts. Final thoughts, takeaway, advice. Mine, food is your friend. We like her. She can do so much fun stuff. She could be yummy. I just bought a lot of fun groceries to try some salads because I hate salads. But I'm going to keep trying because they're not all bad. But food is your friend. The right foods are your friend. There is not one bite of anything that is going to be your end all be all. So don't have like one binge meal and feel like you are the worst thing ever, that you are going to a diabetic coma tomorrow. I think a lot of times I feel like this is the point where it's too late. This is the point where it's too late. This is when I've gone too far. And like, heaven forbid, like statistically in my lifetime, I will be a diabetic. Like unless I really, really change a lot of things and the genetics just chill out, I go kill myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to figure it out. So I think just try as much as you can to not have like catastrophic mindset when it comes to nutrition and like health and weight loss or maintenance or whatever your goal is. Truly one day at a time, just eat. Like I do not want anyone to watch this and be like, oh, the answer is just starve myself. That's how she lost weight. I should just starve. That is not the answer. That is never the answer. Even if you need to like change up portion sizing, change up what you're eating, everyone has a different like necessity and need for your physical body. But the answer is never just don't eat ever. So that's really my big takeaway.
For me, love yourself right now and love yourself like through the whole journey. And I'm saying it like it's easy. It's definitely not easy. I'm still learning this. I'm still learning this. I have not yet mastered it. There are days where I'm like, me and you, we just not rocking. But
as someone who works out with her, that's most days.
So it's a lot of days. But you have to keep trying. For me, that's something that I don't think I've ever stopped doing. Like since I really started, I've never stopped trying. Trying does not always yield results. That's okay. Keep yourself in that mindset to where you are still trying, to where your mind is open. Keep your mind open too. Like don't ever shut it off. Don't get to that point to where you're like, it's hopeless, it's over. It's never over. As long as you wake up every single day and this another day, it's never over. It's never over. You've never gone too far. You've never done too little. Keep trying and do it for you. At any moment, if you feel like you're doing it for somebody else. And like, so this is somebody who, like I said, I ain't never been as mean to myself as I feel like people have been to me as a person in a big body. And you have to allow yourself to be your own savior. You can do
Hold on. This is
like, you know, be your own savior, like in this situation, and do it with you. Don't let nobody take you out your mind. Like I said, if you getting it and you in, go ahead and be in. And if you out for this week and if you're taking a break, then you're taking a break, and no one can tell you this not your break week. It's your break week. Yeah. If you're eating a burger, you eating a burger, and then tomorrow you own that salad, you own that salad. Right. You really doing it. And you have to tell yourself this, like look in the mirror, like y'all probably like, she sound delusional. You're doing it. Needs to be done. You're doing it. Like you're doing it. And it's okay. And it's okay to not be the smallest person in the room. It's okay to not be the smallest version of yourself that you've ever been. What is most important is that your mind and your body is healthy. So focus on that and do it for you.
I have nothing else to say. I'm gonna tag her in the bottom. Appreciate y'all. Be kind to yourself as always. Bye, friends. This is great. We're gonna start over. We're gonna start again.